There we go. Too much responsibility for me at this time in the morning. So thank you very much. Welcome to this year's Data Science Festival. It's actually our 6th festival. I can't believe it. Very humble beginnings. We started with a little meet-up, above a pub 6 years ago, and it's grown into this great community that we have in front of us. I've got a couple of quick announcements, and then I'll get out of the way and hand over to Mitchell. First of all, thank you all very much for coming. We are definitely a community, and it's great to see it thriving. We ask, if you can, please switch off your phones, turn them to silent, whatever it is, just that. I'm back. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I've done the admin, haven't I? Please turn off your phones. Don't interrupt anyone. Don't be that guy. The Data Science Festival is a celebration of all things data. We aim to connect the tech community and foster the sharing of knowledge, inspiration and ideas. The event is free to attend and built for you, the community. Without the support of our sponsors, without the volunteers, without the speakers all giving up their time, it would not be possible. So I definitely have to give a shout out to this year's sponsors. They are Attest, Barclays, Bumble, CFC, Data Idols, Databricks, Deliveroo, Digitas, Direct Line, dunnhumby, H2O, King, Marks & Spencer's, and Open Credo. Finally, I would also like to thank CodeNode. It's an absolutely lovely venue. It's perfect for tech events, so get round all the rooms, see all the exhibitors. In terms of today's session, there will be a Q&A at the end, so don't be shy, put your hand up and get involved. In terms of that, I would like to welcome our first speaker to the stage. So can I have a warm round of applause, please, for Mitchell? Look at that, sir.
Thank you.
The warm-up act. Mitchell is talking about computing 60 billion transactions at the speed of cloud. Mitchell has been at the forefront of technology for over 25 years and has built and sold some of the UK's most disruptive technology businesses. I'm going to turn the page. He is currently at Future Anthem, where he's going to give us a good breakdown of all things big data at Future Anthem. So if you're ready, sir,
thank you.
I will hand over to you. All the best.
Thank you. Good morning. That reminds me of my father many years ago when we used to go to weddings together, and his trick with the camera was when someone was filming him, he used to go, and it reminds me of that just then, so thank you. So thank you, good morning. I'm proud that I'm first this morning. You haven't got exhibitor fatigue yet. And I want to introduce you, firstly, to myself. My name is Mitchell Feldman, and today I'm going to explain to you how Future Anthem, a business that I'm involved with, has gone from a startup with an idea to a multi-award-winning global business. I'm also going to tell you how Databricks has enabled us to achieve not only undeniable commercial success, but equally and more impressively, how it's allowed us to create a brand new category within our industry, which is in the world of online gaming. So I'm just going to use a few minutes just to talk about myself. So let me begin. At the age of 12, 1983, you can do the maths, I was programming on BASIC on one of these Sinclair ZX81s, and I remember being so enchanted by it, getting the code, buying the magazines each week, having to wait for the following week for them to correct the wrong line of code that they'd put into onto the magazine, and I was just enchanted, and I fell in love, and that's where my IT journey began. A lot has changed since then I'll be kind and say about 30 years. It's more than that. I've twice been crowned the Microsoft Worldwide Cloud Partner of the Year. I've won the UK Tech Entrepreneur of the Year by the UK Cloud Awards. I've been acknowledged by the Houses of Parliament, specifically 10 Downing Street, for my duties to technology. And in 2018, I sold my last business, which was a company called Red Pixie, to Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And we were at the time Europe's largest Microsoft Cloud partner. But this is where the story starts, and I want to use this as a story today. I'm not going to make any apologies that this is not deep tech, so you may have been expecting that today. By design, I'm a marketeer, which means that I like to think that I'm half creative and half data scientist without any Python or JSON. But just before I sold my business, I got approached by a guy called Lee Nissim, who I knew as a child. We were never really friends, but we're in the same social circles. And he came to visit me at my offices and said, I've got this great idea, can I tell you about it? I need some support of what that might look like in the future. And I invited him down to my offices, which were just City Road, just on the other side of Old Street Roundabout. And we were talking, and after about 30 minutes, I knew one thing. I believed his vision, and I believed, more importantly, about him. And in fact, I loved it so much, that today, I am the CMO of that company. So let's move forward. Let me introduce you to Future Anthem. For those of you who don't know, and I don't think many of you will know, our CEO, Lee Nissim, he is a veteran of the online gaming industry. He's worked for most of the world-leading gaming companies, both on two sides. There's in the world of online gaming, there's operators, also known as casinos, and there are studios, the people that actually make the games. And in 2018, Lee hypothesized that studios can use their game and player data and fuse it with AI to achieve never-seen-before outcomes. And in 2019, Lee was so confident that he started Future Anthem, and that's where it was born. And he built an AI platform that he likes to call, or we like to call, game data science. If I wind forward 3 years, and it's not even 3 years yet, we can boast that we look after most of the industry's heavyweights. As an organization, we're about 30 people and growing significantly and hiring. Nearly half our team is data scientists or PhDs or doctors. We've built a really, really successful intern program, which is starting to gain some real momentum, and we've got some real superstars that we've surfaced within the business. Interestingly, particularly for a tech company, one of the things I'm really, really proud of is that we have a 45% gender diversity mix within the business, which is pretty unique. We could definitely do better. We have a real forward motion within the business to address that balance. But I think based on the statistics of the industry, we're doing okay. And interestingly, for a company that was founded in roughly March 2019, what a great day to start when they announced that there's COVID, right? And that we're in lockdown. What that allowed us to do is to design the business from the ground up to embrace this hybrid working world and to have that culture where, we measure our staff on output, not input. Work is a place. Work is an activity, not a place. We can work wherever we are. Personally, I work best when I'm in the Starbucks with a set of headphones and no one talking to me. Some people work better when they're at home. Some people work better when they're having coffee side chats in the office. So it's a really, really vibrant company. And when I say vibrant, this 3 years has been so romantic for us. I'm very lucky because I don't feel like I've got a job. I feel like I've got a hobby. So I'm very, very lucky. And if you don't feel like that, then I would encourage you to find a job that doesn't feel like a job. And lots and lots of good things have been happening within the business. Not only have we got this high-performing culture within the business, but the industry is recognizing that we are leaders within this space. Even this week, I put this in at 2 o'clock this morning. This week was the EGR Awards. This is like the Oscars for our industry. And we got named on Wednesday this week, 3 days ago, the industry's leading, did they call it leading? The #1 data and AI partner in gambling. So pretty proud moment for me. we've got some really nice comments coming into the business, like we've created a new category because this didn't exist before. So that's enough about the backstory. Let me talk about what Future Anthem does and how we provide value to our business. What I want to talk to you about today is a specific use case, which I think you'll find interesting. I think everyone, for good or for bad, has been affected by gambling. And I want to talk to you today about one of the stories of how we are helping players, how we are protecting players. So we have built a product called Amplifier AI. And this is big data. This is really big data. We are consuming, or the platform today has consumed 60 billion real money casino spins. So someone pressing a spin on a slot machine. We've processed 111 billion casino spins, 250 player hours, and generated metadata across 20,000 games. Today, as a company, we now own the largest independent behavioral data set in online gaming. We have created nuclear power. But this is where it starts to get really exciting, because when we started ingesting all of this data, the one thing that was apparent very early on was that not only had we managed to solve our problems, answer the questions that we had of the data, but we always spoke about data liquidity and the value of the data. But when we actually turned it on and we saw it start glowing and buzzing, we realized that we could look at this data through multiple lenses and create different outcomes that all created compelling events for our customers to engage with us. Those outcomes allowed us to create this one product called Amplifier AI and have 3 modules or 3 outcomes off of the back of that. And those 3 modules are personalization, which is going onto a casino lobby online and getting that Netflix effect. Because if you go online to a casino, it's a sea of sameness. There's millions, there's not millions, there are thousands of games. And how do you know which game to play? How do you know that you're going to choose one that's the style that you like, with the features that you like, with the opportunity to win money? Today, in online gaming, that's pretty immature, that offering. So we've created a personalization module which brings that Netflix, that Spotify effect to online gamers. We also have performance optimization, and this is what we call the secret sauce to better game design. So this is you becoming data-driven in how you build your games, understanding what are the features, what are the sounds, what are the designs of the games that keep people engaged. And the last one is customer experience, is how can we deliver the best experience to the customers, but whilst doing it responsibly and sustainably. And I say responsibly, underlined, control I, so it stands out a little bit more, is we wanted to protect the players. And why do we want to protect the players? We want to protect the players because, particularly during COVID, everyone saw on the news of people turning to online gambling, people getting out of control, spending more than their means. You've heard some awful stories of, unfortunately, some people even taking their own lives because they're out of control. And is that responsibility of the player? Is that responsibility of the operator? I think quite clearly the responsibility is with the operator, the casino, to make sure that they are looking after the players, that they are identifying those players, so that they can see when they are showing traits of harmful play, how they can protect them and intervene to stop them. Okay. More so, the UK Gambling Commission has, in September this year, stated some new legislation. They're fed up of the rudimentary way that casinos, operators have been addressing how to deal with and identify problem gamblers. They want to significantly and radically change the way it expects operators to capture that data. Because, after months of consultation and investigations, they found it just wasn't good enough, and now they want to hold these casinos accountable. This is a new age, this is regulation, catching up with an industry that is moving at a significant pace. So this was always expected, but no one really knew how big a challenge that was. And not only do they have to have these new measures in place to capture the players, they want the casinos to do it in real time. If any of you are interested, as an organization, we've created a channel called Tune Into Data, really focused around the technical and data community. And we had a responsible gambling special edition last week, where we talk all about these new challenges. But also those challenges have opportunities as well. Because what's really important, and what casinos are now understanding, is that there is a rush to find those players and to remove those players to protect themselves, and then focus on the rest of the community who aren't at risk, who are in control, and create delightful experiences that are enjoyable. This is a gaming industry, okay? And if you're in control and you're doing it responsibly, it's actually can be a fun experience, particularly if you win. So I want to talk about this thing called markers of harm, okay? How do we identify a player who is at risk? And typically that's done, it's worked out over 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars are intensity, frequency, variability, and trajectory. These are the 4 pillars of the markers of harm. Now, if someone was actually behaving badly in one of these areas, doesn't necessarily mean they're an at-risk gambler. But what we do is we score them across these 4 pillars. In fact, 3 pillars, with the trajectory being the sum of the first 3. And if we can start to see patterns that those users are potentially out of control, we can then intervene. And we do this through a technique which I'm sure most of you know in this room, which is behavioral clustering. Looking at all of those markers of harm, putting them into these clusters to understand at a casino level, which players do I need to work on? And there are 3 clusters that we look at from a behavioral clustering perspective. We have the safe, i.e. the player is okay. We have monitor, i.e. there is a propensity that they may drip into out of control. And then the last one, as you would expect, is high risk. And we have to quickly do this in real time with the amount of data that is coming in across thousands of games, across thousands of casinos, across millions of players. I noticed on here, I don't know if it's a thing, it looks a bit like Mickey Mouse. I noticed that this morning. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm told that this isn't a great representation of the data because it's all 3D and you can look at it in different angles. I'm going to try and make this a little bit interactive now, if my slide build allows me to. Of the sessions that we have analysed, who would like to have a guess at what percentage of players sit within the high risk category, i.e. out of control? Out of the 100%, what percentage would you say of players are out of risk? Let me see a show of hands for those that think, we'll be generous and say 50%. 40%? 30%? 60%? Any other takers? 90. Did I hear 90? Yeah. Okay. 30. Between 20 and 30. It's amazing. It's amazing. No one ever gets this right. These are the numbers.
I got it right.
Sorry. These are the people who are safe. These are the people that are safe. The people that are at risk is 0.5%. 0.5% of the people are displaying markers of harm during the sessions that we analyzed. And this is across millions of hours, billions of transactions ingested. And 6.5% are in this monitor cluster. And these are the ones we've got to be really careful with, because at any moment in time they can drop into this bucket here. So this is where the casinos really need to get smart to be able to quickly surface this data and say, you know what, in yesteryear, casinos may have said, look, we don't want to see that number because these are the ones who are spending the most money with us. Actually, that's not right. That's not right. Because of the fines and the impending changes from regulatory changes, you can no longer talk to those players. And you've got to be able to demonstrate that you are protecting those players by excluding them or sanity checking them through your own mechanisms, whether that's through emails, through intervention by phone calls, or blocking the access to the website to give them a timeout. Again, protecting these players and creating journeys within the games to make sure that they're not going to drop into this red zone, if you like, making it a little bit American. And then the 93%, this is the clever play. This is around creating amazing experiences for these 93%. That's what we do as an organization. That's what our customers who have these old methodologies of approaching this problem, rather than building it themselves, they're ingesting our algorithm, our platform, our solution into their tech stack, and within 4 weeks, we can get them from where they are today to compliant and not only adhering to the UK Gambling Commission rules and regulations, but also igniting and lighting up their data so that they can start doing other things around personalization, around building better games. And that's where we've had some really, really good success. In fact, we've even pivoted as an organization, and rather than having this as just an isolated module which you can buy autonomous of everything else, actually we're saying that this should live within every module that we do. There should be a responsible gambling component to it. In fact, we turn it on its head and we call it positive play rather than safer play. Because what we're doing is we're focused on this area here and maybe half of here, and that's the positive play. And we're doing this all through big data. I hasten to add, this is obviously all sitting on Databricks, which I will come to shortly. So you can see my inefficiency of building PowerPoint decks there. But I think one of the things that you'll see here is a few of the things you'll see here is the capabilities of this platform. And this is growing every day. As an organization, we are growing and learning every single day about how we can make this platform better. How can we add more value to our customers? You know, we're in a very luxurious position where our customers are saying, you know what, it would be very helpful for this feature if you could build it for us, and then we can then roll that out to the rest of our client base as a product. But you will see here that compared to the industry, 72% of the time, compared to operator models, we are finding players faster and more of them, and sometimes hundreds, if not thousands of more players. So we are becoming very quickly the must-have growth ingredient within the industry. Let's talk about the technical bit that makes all of this possible, which is Databricks and Microsoft Azure. You know, we were very, very lucky that we didn't have, as a brand new company, particularly born in the cloud, without an office, we had the luxury of building a greenfield site. We didn't have any technical debt that we had to retire or migrate away from. We could build cloud native off the bat. You know, it's a great position to be. You know, building for scale and population scale, really, based on the numbers that we're computing. And as a company, we had experience of building these environments pre-Databricks, which required thousands of lines of code, high levels of expertise, and notably high levels of cost to support that environment. We also knew that we had chosen Azure security and the performance were very, very impressive for us. And we also wanted that integrated tool set, that one ecosystem, and Databricks living in Azure was just a natural choice for us. We also knew the volume of data that we were going to be processing. We also knew that we needed a Spark environment to do all of the works that we needed to do to get to these outcomes. We wanted to build an environment that was both technically and culturally, that saw data scientists and data engineers work across a single framework and code base. That was something that we were fixated on from day one, again, from lessons learned in the past. And when we benchmarked Databricks against all of these requirements, it was obvious to us that it addressed all of those problems out the box. Also coupled with that was their constant change and rate of innovation, really gave us the confidence that it would not just satisfy our requirements for today, but for tomorrow and beyond. And simply because of that, it was probably one of the best decisions we made as a business from a technical perspective. Our future is not written yet. There are many opportunities. As we say in the business often, we've created this nuclear power, and only on a daily basis are we understanding the power of the platform and what we can do with it. I guess a greatest manifestation of that is the fact that we've brought a subject matter expert within the business, a guy called Ian Tibbett, who's incredible, whose heritage is from the sports world, or sportsbook world, rather than the casino world. And we wanted to understand how much of a pivot would there be to use our solution for casinos and apply it to sportsbook. And just so you're aware, in terms of the 100% of revenue that's generated from operators, aka casinos, only 20% is derived from casino. Okay, online casinos. 80% is sportsbook. That is where the money is. And in America, most states are enabled for sportsbook, very few are enabled for casino. So for us to get a footprint within that space was pretty hard. So we brought Ian in and we said, look, here's our platform, here's the enriched nuclear power that we have. Can you work out and see how hard it would be to pivot and start working for the sports world? Well, I'm thrilled to say that it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that much heavy lifting. And this year, to be formally announced, we have signed I won't say which country, but a country's largest bookmaker to come onto our sports platform and be our guinea pig, if you like, to help us understand what the sports looks like. We have a high degree of certainty that we're going to be able to deliver something that they've never seen before. Something that will create great experience, personalized experiences for the sports world. And if any of you do gamble, you'll know that if you log on to a Bet365 or a Betfred, you're just presented with a sea of different options, whether it's volleyball or golf or hockey. I'm not interested in that. It should know that I'm interested in football. It should know that when my team goes 1-0 behind, I always bet that they're going to win, and they never do. But it should know that. So it's rife for change. But what this platform and our methodology allows us to do is to grow into new geographies, take on new industries. We're looking today at just casino and sports, and we are fixated on that. But who knows what tomorrow holds? Who knows? Are we going to move into e-gaming? Are we going to move into crypto? I buy crypto, not recently, but I buy crypto, and actually when you're on those platforms, is it gambling? It possibly is. It possibly is. And do they need to regulate that to protect people who are spending all of their money chasing crypto shares? Maybe. And maybe that's an opportunity. And again, new geographies, lighting up America. State by state, America is turning on the ability to do online casinos. We're the perfect growth ingredient. If they're building these greenfield sites to inject us from day one, to have all of these capabilities off the bat is a story that no one in our industry is saying. So just to summarize that within 3 years, we've won most of Europe's largest casino operators. We've built a platform that is what I would call the gift that keeps on giving. We keep finding new opportunities, new ways to look at the data, to address problems that are both resident today and future visions of where we could take this. The industry is changing rapidly. You'll start seeing on online gaming that they're making it like quiz shows now with real people presenting online. It's a very fast changing landscape, and which is why the regulation is only just catching up with it. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for the casinos, it's a good thing for the industry, but most importantly, it's a good thing for the player. I think I've given you a summary today of what the power of a platform with fixation on a specific use case can deliver. As I say, from an idea in 2019 to being a world leader and creating a new category within the industry, i.e. game data science, is something I'm incredibly proud of. And as you saw before, I have quite a rich heritage. I don't think I've ever been as excited as what we're achieving today. So thank you all for listening. That's my speech today, and I think we'll open up for some questions.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mitchell. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you, sir. There is a question right at the very back. I think we might actually get you to shout. We're still doing the whole COVID, not passing microphones around. So if you could yell loudly, please.
Yeah, I was just wondering, with the red, green, and amber model that you have, how do you actually know it's correct? Do you get feedback from the companies that, these are people we've had to ban from playing? How do you know that you're picking the right people?
I love you. I had one slide that I was hiding, okay? And the one thing that all of the people in the industry suffer from today is what's called lack of explainability. So our model not only just identifies those players, and I've never walked through this slide before, and I'm not a data scientist, so I would just hasten to add that, but explaining why someone is chosen, we have the ability from within our platform to explain why they were chosen as someone who we should exclude. If you'd like to know more about this, I can connect you with one of our data team, particularly in the RG team, the responsible gambling team, who can explain that to you. But we have a high degree of certainty it's correct. In terms of the feedback loop and getting that back from the customer, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can certainly get you that answer.
Amazing. Just here, please.
Thank you very much. Really interesting presentation. Like you, I started out many years ago, so I started out on an Acorn Electron.
Okay, I do remember.
And actually my first job from university was writing games for fruit machines.
Okay.
So I was interested in what you had to say. I think my question for you is about, given you have a platform with so many customers on it, if you're flagging to customer A that they have somebody who's not gambling responsibility, what is to stop that individual moving to a different customer and continuing to gamble irresponsibility? What as a platform are you doing to help all of your customers to identify that individual and so they can all act responsibly before that individual starts playing another platform? Because presumably there's something in there about sharing data about
Yeah.
individuals.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we call those, I think we call them tourists, who will come onto your site and they might get blocked and they'll go straight over to another one. There are Chinese walls between each casino. None of our information is personally identifiable, so we cannot pass that information over. What we do have the comfort is that all of the operators will have this fiduciary duty to have these guide rails in place to protect the players, and hopefully they will have the same level of maturity as our platform delivers to be able to capture those players. But in answer to this question, there is no way of sharing that data like what you would do with a credit risk, where someone has got a poor payment profile and sharing that across lenders. That doesn't happen in casinos, unfortunately. It should do.
Thank you very much. We'll take the question at the front, please.
Yes, obviously you run a business and you want to maximise profits. So I'm interested to know what the average amount per customer loses on your platform per year.
So we don't, just so we're clear, we are not the casino. So we give the tooling to the casinos to run on their games and their lobbies. So we have some visibility into losses. There's a thing called RTP, which is return to player, the percentages that return to player. And typically, it's quite shocking that, in online casinos, and I don't play slot machines online, but typically the return to player is between sort of 95 and 97% of your bet is returned to you if you play for long enough, as an average. But in terms of numbers, I don't have that information. Could I get that information? Possibly, but I don't know the answer to your question. So apologies, that was like a bit of a swerve ball, but I don't know the answer.
Amazing. Was there any other questions? If not, I've definitely got one. I'm going to throw one in there. It's got to be a prerogative, hasn't it? If you get a microphone, you have to ask a question. I find it really interesting, the startup world. You've obviously gone from scratch. How did you find it in terms of getting that data in the first instance? Because obviously you weren't a vendor, you didn't have all this data. How did you go about ingesting this data to get started?
So Lee being the person that he is, with the reputation that he is, managed to find a couple of friendly customers, friends of his who he'd worked with in the past, who shared his vision and realized that all of this data, and let's be really, really clear, the data that we are dealing with, transactional data, player and game data, was the crumbs that sat on the floor that no one wanted to deal with because they felt there was no value. They were worried about, how much have you staked, how much have we paid back, or how long have you played for, and how many times have you returned. So to enrich and mine all of this data had never been done before. So when we were telling this story to our friends and industry peers, they're like, look, have it, it's sitting there. The biggest problem, like with any of these businesses, is getting access to the data, because typically it will sit in different buckets, different data teams. Most of our customers, if not all the customers, have been great. You're always going to get what we would call the technical terrorists who are saying, you're not going to have my data. But if we can get past that and actually start getting that data in, and we've built it, this is an API-driven solution where we can just plug into our customers and help them intervene in real time, send marketing messages in real time. So in answer to your question, it was a bunch of friends who believed in our vision and allowed us to play with their data to see what we could discover.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much,
thank you.
Mitchell. Perfect timing as well. We've got 3 or 4 minutes. So could I have one more round of applause, please, for Mitchell?
Thank you,
sir.